Yes, I know. The goatee's gone. If you've been on this hair journey with me, you know that I've been using that witch hazel, getting the skin right, getting the hair right. The last bastion of issue was right here. So in order to make the skin heal, it had to go. I've not seen this face in 20 years. So you're going to be on a journey with me for the next month and a half as it grows back. Okay. So Tron Ares presents us with the Permanence Code. The Permanence Code is a string of code that allows programs to exist in our world because there's a time limit if they don't have the Permanence Code. Now, Dillinger Systems are the basically the I would even say the main antagonist, maybe the tritagonist, for this film. They are looking to use the military application side of the digital world, whereas NCOM is looking for more of the societal impact for the introduction of programs into the real world. Dillinger Systems runs into a roadblock. The roadblock is called the Permanence Code. The Permanence Code only allows things to exist in our reality for 29 minutes. After 29 minutes, there's a version of de-resolution that basically happens for those programs, and then they are sent straight back to the system that they were born in. Now, here is the problem with the Permanence Code. It doesn't make sense in the context of Tron Legacy. And the reason why I say that is the way in which the Permanence Code is introduced in this film is that Kevin Flynn figured out the Permanence Code way back between the events of Tron 1 and Tron Legacy for how to bring programs from the digital world to our world. Now, an argument could be made that the interview that Kevin Flynn holds before he disappears about bringing those programs from the digital space into our space could have been in relation to the Permanence Code. However, if you're somebody who sat down and you watched Tron Legacy, you discover that it was not the Permanence Code that he was talking about, but he was talking about Quora and her people, the ISOs, as the ones that he wanted to bring from the digital world to our world. The issue with the Permanence Code comes into play with how it kind of just magically fixes everything. Not only does the Permanence Code allow you to take a digital object, such as a piece of fruit, and transfer it into our world, and it tastes, smells, and feels like a natural piece of fruit. It also allows you to take a program and transfer the program to our world and turn that program into an actual living, breathing human being. That is impossible. Well, it's a movie franchise, so nothing actually is ever impossible. But in the context of Tron, that should be wildly impossible because we see during the final battle that when Ares is injured, he's actually bleeding. He's panting now. Like he has a human body, and there are these new sensations that he's never experienced before. And one of those new sensations we see later on at the end of the film is the fact that he's actually eating food. Okay, fine. But when you take a step back and you look at it from the context of Tron Legacy, the ISOs were that bridge. If Kevin Flynn was to figure out how permanence worked, it would make the most sense that the permanence would be built from the introduction of the ISO's code, a code that he never created that manifested itself, that was a perfect fusion of both data and also organic information flowing seamlessly together inside that of the double helix. Here's why this film really needed to have brought back both Sam and Cora. Sam just ups and disappears, and we're gonna have to talk about that probably in another video, but also maybe not because it only takes 3 seconds to talk about it. He is essentially written off because they didn't feel like bringing back Garrett Hedlund. They also didn't feel like bringing back Olivia Wilde. The most sense, if you wanted to do the Permanence Code, the most sense that this could have made is if they decided to introduce Sam and Cora's kid, where as we saw at the end of Tron Legacy, when she leaves that reality and comes to our reality, her and Sam are essentially moving towards something along the lines of a relationship. They're extremely close. Or if you choose not to make them close, you could have her meet someone else down the line and end up having a child with that person. That kid would be the perfect hybrid between both the digital space and also our reality because of Quorra's isophysiology. Taking the DNA from that kid and reverse engineering it could have been what ended up being the permanence code. If they had decided to toe the line a little bit closer to the story of Tron Legacy instead of kind of disregarding most of the story and then kind of just shoving it in at the last second as like, hey guys, characters that you like, they're back here. I think that would have been a far better dynamic. It would have been a far interesting dynamic to probably have the digital Jesus version of Flynn show up, and it's not just Jared Leto's character Ares, but he's also meeting his grandson for like the very first time, and he realizes exactly what his grandson actually is, or the fact that Dillinger Systems and the reason that Sam disappeared from everything for like the last 15 years was because Dillinger Systems became aware of his child and of what Quorra actually is, and he disappeared to essentially protect them so that Dillinger wouldn't be able to find them or use his child in order to bring their weapons of war from the digital space into our space. The permanence code is one of those things that when you look at it on paper, the decision to make it just a simple cure-all causes a lot more harm than good. I think that if they had taken a step back and they had decided to add just a little bit more lore and went a little bit deeper, and instead of just making it something that, oh, it's just something that, I figured out on a Saturday morning as I was eating a sandwich in the grid with Tron and Clue, if they had actually decided to think a little bit more or let that aspect of it cook, it really would set up a far interesting story down the line if they decide to bring back both Sam and Quorra. But the decision not to bring back both Sam and Quorra, but then also on top of that, the decision to completely ignore those character journeys and then kind of just throw this new lore nugget on top of Flynn like it's just something that he created is actually a little bit crazy, because if Flynn always had the permanence code during the events before that of Tron Legacy, then he would have already brought a program from the digital world to our world. He wouldn't have been working on basically the grid 2.0 and brought Tron over there and things along those lines. He would have been like, look, looks like me, doesn't he? He'd have brought Clue to our world. He'd be like, he looks like me, doesn't he? Program, like, made him in the digital world, like literally version 2.0 of me. Check his DNA, it's completely different from mine. That would have been something that Kevin Flynn would have done because he was the eccentric madman at the time running NCOM. The permanence code is just sloppy. Like I really can't navigate any more around not using that term. It's a sloppy piece of lore that could have been really, really great and could have been really, really cool, but instead it's just a generic MacGuffin. It's a magic cure-all that makes anything that you create in the digital space suddenly real with really no explanation behind it in any way, shape, or form. But let me know what you guys think. Have you seen Tron Ares? Did you find the permanence code to be as annoying as I found it to be as I was watching the film? Comment below. Let me know. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.